Silicon Valley isn't just one giant tech hub. It's a collection of more than 15 cities where a 10-minute drive can mean a $2 million price difference in completely different lifestyles. While tech workers flock to the lights of Palo Alto for the prestige, there are also hidden gems like Campbell seeing more growth in the famous cities in other places in the valley. So today I'm breaking down what makes each Silicon Valley city special and where the real growth is happening in 2025. I'm Spencer Su, a tech professional turned realtor, and I've helped over 350 tech families find the perfect home in the Bay Area by both buying and selling. That's why I know what really matters for people moving here, and at the end, I'm going to be showing how you should go about finding the best area in the valley for your situation. But before we dive into the decision factors, let's first understand what makes each city unique. After all, you can't pick the right place until you know what your options really are, and that comes down to budget. And trust me, these cities are more different than people may think. First off, let's look at the cities that powers Silicon Valley's innovation, where the big tech companies have set up shop, and where really most of the traffic is deriving from. Mountain View, which is Google's empire. Mountain View is clearly Google land, as that huge Googleplex has changed the city and driven up home prices through the decade. Google has tens of thousands of workers across more than 3.5 million square feet of office space. They are so big, they clearly affect traffic patterns in which restaurants will ultimately stay in business. But what's cool about Mountain View is how the downtown connects to the workday. These are walkable restaurants, coffee shops where people hang out after work. Your workday will naturally flow into happy hour and dinner at the amazing Castro Street. End up with this social tech community where you're always running into coworkers and friends. What are the home prices going for right now? The median home price right here is at $1.9 million. This strategic location advantage is something we're going to see again when we talk about other cities, especially like Sunnyvale, which actually sits in the perfect blend between major employment centers. But here's where it gets interesting. Just a few miles away, there's another tech giant that's taking a completely different approach to building their community. Let's head to Cupertino and see how Apple's vision has shaped an entirely different kind of Silicon Valley experience. That giant spaceship, Apple Park, is an amazing $5 billion investment that has over 10,000 employees on its own. The campus itself has 9,000 drought-resistant trees that Steve Jobs picked himself, a huge 100,000 square foot fitness center, and 300,000 square feet of super secret R&D space. When they finished Apple Park, it changed how tech companies build their headquarters. But here's where Cupertino differs from Mountain View. There's no real downtown scene. The community feels a little bit more spread out, built around homes and shopping centers instead of like a walkable core. Now, what about home prices though? Get ready. The median home price here is at over $3 million. That price comes from the great schools and being so close to Apple. The housing is mostly single-family homes rather than mixed-use buildings, which gives the city a more classic suburban feel. And that brings me to a surprising balance I'm seeing in 2025. While most people assume Cupertino and Mountain View are the prime spots for tech professionals, this semiconductor central isn't in any of those regions. Santa Clara, home to Intel, Nvidia, and AMD. The city has been booming because AI has driving up the stock price of these companies, yet they don't really actually need that many people to run it. Think about Nvidia. They went through a massive buying spree, spending over $123 million to buy office buildings. This shows how confident they are to keep growing and how much of a long-term journey there is. To give you an idea, the median home price in Santa Clara, though, is still relatively affordable at $1.71 million. It's still a pretty good deal because you're getting the same access to major employers as you would in Cupertino, but at a much lower price. The city has a nice mix of housing options with more affordable entry points in nearby cities. That's why we're seeing more tech workers give Santa Clara a more serious look at the main that considered before. When we look at San Jose later, you're going to see a much wider range of housing diversity because of such a big city. But let's circle to another city that's in the East Bay, that is at the edge of Silicon Valley, which is Fremont. Tesla's Gigafactory itself has produced more than 3 million cars across the Fremont and Nevada plants, which is one of Silicon Valley's greatest industrial success stories. The factory itself employs over 20,000 people and can produce over 550,000 Model 3s and Model Ys vehicles annually. The company reached to celebrate its amazing milestone of producing 1 million Model Ys. That's why you see so many of those electric cars everywhere. But what makes the Fremont, the city, so special is not just tech, it's about families. Fremont was named the #1 best city to raise a family in the US in 2025 by Wallet Hut study because the city has beautiful outdoor spaces like Lake Elizabeth and Mission Peak for hiking, plus some of the highest rated public schools in the Bay Area, particularly Mission, San Jose, and Irvington. Home prices in Fremont right now sit at around $1.46 million for a median price, but for families looking for a bit more space and value while still being connected to Silicon Valley, it makes a lot of sense. I like the fact that it balances between the tech world and family life, where Fremont is still close enough. Now, hopefully you don't have to deal with the traffic there, which there is going to be traffic, but it's still very manageable relative to the affordability and relative to the schools there. But I do want to let you in on this secret that most real estate agents won't tell you. There is another city that flies under a lot of people's radars for many buyers, but offers one of the best locations in all of Silicon Valley. Sunnyvale has been the intersection of growth. Think about it. They benefited tremendously in Mountain View and Cupertino, where those tech giants have merged to intersect to grow in that area. But you've already had other companies there, like LinkedIn, Microsoft, Amazon, Google Cloud, NetApp. Even looking at Databricks, they recently added a 305,000 square foot office space in downtown Sunnyvale to support their R&D team. That's the kind of growth that we're seeing in all of Sunnyvale. Now, homes here are selling for around $1.73 million. But what makes Sunnyvale so great is that central location for commute, but also Caltrain access, and their downtown has been quite lovely, continuously improve. Now, if you think about Sunnyvale's tech scene, it is quite diverse in terms of industries. Mountain View is generally heavy on more of the software internet companies, mainly because of Google and Intuit, but Sunnyvale has a still strong hardware, aerospace, defense presence. Lockheed Martin has been there forever, continuing Sunnyvale's long history in aerospace. So while Sunnyvale might be this kind of quiet achiever, they still have benefited very, very well. But let's talk about the biggest city of them all, in Silicon Valley, which is San Jose. It is California's third largest city with nearly 1 million people. It's home to 66,000 businesses, 439,000 workers. Surprisingly, it is actually the #1 US city for manufacturing jobs because there's over 77,000 manufacturing jobs here, which makes up 18% of the workforce. We're not just all talking about digital and software here. We're talking about electronics, green energy, machining, advanced manufacturing. Think about all the big name companies that are here though too. Adobe, Cisco, eBay, PayPal, and Zoom. Homes here cost at $1.35 million. Now, what I find really interesting about San Jose is how different each neighborhood feels. North San Jose has that more urban tech vibe, while Willow Glen gives you these incredible tree-lined streets. So in a way, living in San Jose is like getting completely different cities in one. Now that we covered the major tech hubs though, that's only part of the story of Silicon Valley. Let's talk about some of these other areas where there's not as many of these big company headquarters at, but it's still incredibly popular. But we're gonna first talk about the most elite communities. But before we do that, if you've been enjoying this tour so far, do me a huge favor, click that subscribe button. There's so many of you watching that just found this, but they're not subscribing. You gotta subscribe and you gotta reach out so that we can work together to help you with your moves if you or any of your friends know of looking at a different lifestyle. Now let's talk about where the real power lives. Where does the real money live? Where does the real wealth live? These are where those have really made it. Let's talk about Atherton, the absolute pinnacle of Silicon Valley wealth and US wealth. This exclusive town has been the richest zip code in America for 8 consecutive years with an incredible median home price, $8.56 million. But what makes Atherton so special? They got strict zoning requirements, zoning rules, which requires 1-acre lots, no commercial developments. And so because of this, it's home to many of the richest people in the world. Sheryl Sandberg, Eric Schmidt, so many tech executives. Next up, you have Menlo Park. Now Menlo Park, you're still home to Meta HQ, but there's a lot of venture capitalists that live there because of the prime location due to Sand Hill Road. So especially the area on the southern part of Menlo Park, you're gonna have a lot of incredible houses and incredible people choosing to be out there. The median price is at $3 million, but it's such a big range. At the very north part of Menlo Park, you're gonna look at about $1.5 million homes. At the very southern parts, easily homes over $5 million. Now, unlike Atherton, where the median price is all $8 million, you're still gonna have a mix of commercial, of office buildings, but also now you have a lovely downtown, which has continued to improve and been that silent treat for many. Moving on from Menlo Park, we're gonna get into across University Avenue, into Palo Alto, where Stanford University's influence has not created just a city, but that intellectual foundation of Silicon Valley itself. Palo Alto, which is home to Stanford, Tesla, and the birthplace of venture capital. Palo Alto is that brain and wallet of Silicon Valley. This amazing city does have several distinct business areas, including the lively university area downtown with its mix of tech offices, restaurants, and shops. Get this take. Did you know Stanford graduates have started companies that would be the world's 10th largest economy if combined? Incredible amount of creation has been coming from this area. But if you think Palo Alto is exclusive, let's look at Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. Los Altos has been this crown jewel of Silicon Valley living because you got amazing schools, a cute little downtown, and some of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the entire region. They kept it very residential by not allowing industrial development and limiting businesses to their vintage-like downtown area. Now though, Los Altos Hills takes exclusivity to a whole other level. They require minimum 1-acre lots by law, which creates this super exclusive, low-density neighborhood. Some of the biggest names in tech live here: Yuri Milner, Jensen Huang, Sergey Brin, because we're talking about serious multi-mega billionaires. The median price is at an affordable $4.3 million. Imagine that you're spending less than 1% of your wealth in a house. Now, only those incredibly wealthy are able to do that. Now, where's also another popular location that's a little bit south of that area? Saratoga and Los Gatos. Saratoga has done incredibly well because it has that natural beauty, refined living, windy roads, mature oak streets, and this carefully preserved semi-rural atmosphere that feels far away from all the tech buzz near downtown. There's no real offices out there either, but that downtown village is a small and very charming area with high-end restaurants and boutiques. A fantastic location is the Montalvo Arts Center because you have a stunning, beautiful Mediterranean-style villa. Schools there, like many of these areas, are going to be incredibly top-notch. Saratoga High School is ranked as the 12th best public high school. Homes here are priced at $4 million, but can easily go over $8 million. Next up is a little bit more south, Los Gatos. Homes here are running around $2.155 million, with premium properties in the hills hitting over $10 million. Both of these cities give you larger lots, but more distinctive architectural styles that you'll find in some of these other more flat terrain across the valley. Now, while we went over in great detail about some of the wealthiest places and some of the most prime areas, we're going to segue to the end, which is closer to these best kept secrets, which are the more rising residential hubs. But if we talk about some of these more hidden gems, talk about Campbell. You get a walk score 94 around their downtown, which is unheard of in most of Silicon Valley. Homes here, though, are at $1.935 million, but it has done incredibly well. Think about the Prue North Shopping Center, a fantastic 250,000 square foot space of retail, dining, and entertainment. I used to work actually walking distance to here when I worked in tech over a decade ago, so I do enjoy and miss those abilities to walk over to grab fantastic lunches, especially Orchard City Kitchen. Campbell does have highly rated public schools, which not a lot of people know about. And it makes it very appealing because you got community events, parks, and recreational areas, including the popular Los Gatos Creek Trail. But Campbell isn't the only hidden gem in Silicon Valley. Several other spots are quickly gaining traction with tech workers searching for that balance of lifestyle and value. Think about Redwood City, that peninsula transit and urban revival. One example which has grown into a major transit and lifestyle hub with a population of 89,000 people. That downtown is the most improved downtown that you will find in all of the Bay Area. And guess what? They are actually coming up with a exciting and interesting ferry terminal starting construction in 2026. That's going to connect Redwood City to the East Bay and San Francisco, which will be incredible to have that as an option. The city is also working on major infrastructure improvements with 4 miles of new bike and pedestrian paths. Now, homes here in Redwood City are still at $1.9 million, but that walkable downtown, proximity to so many hospitals, Stanford, Kaiser, Sequoia Hospital, along with being the headquarters for Fox and Electronic Arts, it's that perfect place for convenience. Let's look at San Mateo, which is done incredibly well too because it's so diverse. I like San Mateo a lot because it has one of the most dense amount of variety when it comes to food. Think about their downtown. Think about their place around Hillsdale Shopping Center. Think about their beautiful Central Park with its Japanese garden. You got easy access to San Francisco Airport, but also easy access if you have somebody working in San Francisco, working in South San Francisco at biotech, or if you're going down to Silicon Valley. That is the reason why San Mateo remains so desirable, even though not all of San Mateo has great schools, but some areas do, so it's a very popular location. Now let's head back down south towards the east part, which is Milpitas, the most northeast part, where affordability meets strategic location in a city that has become Silicon Valley's best kept secrets for value-conscious buyers. Milpitas has gone through amazing transformation of the development because of the BART extension around the Great Mall. It has over 40,000 jobs serving a population of nearly 82,000 people. You got major employers like in Milpitas like Cisco, Supermicro, KLA-Tencor, and they're turning this city into a serious job center for a lot of people. Location-wise, think about it. Milpitas is the only place that's placed perfectly to be that intersection if you want to go to the peninsula without crossing the bridge. But now that we've explored all these amazing cities across Silicon Valley, you'll be wondering, how do I actually decide which one is right for me? Let's break down a practical approach for finding the right place, because you always want to start with your commute. In Silicon Valley, this is going to make or break your happiness. Why live 2 hours away if you can afford to not do that? Where is your future job likely going to be? It's going to be in the same clusters for a reason. There's a reason why these companies continue to build in the same locations, even though they have infinite money. So you want to figure out, plot on a Google map, plot on a Tuesday, Wednesday morning and evening, what your rush hour will be and what is your real tolerance. If you think your real tolerance is an hour and you haven't done that before, drive it once. And let's be open and honest for yourself. If you want walkability, there's only so many downtowns you can consider. Campbell, Mountain View, Palo Alto, Sunnyvale. If schools are top priorities, a lot of them have excellent options. Do you want to be in a hyper-competitive school district, or do you want something a little bit more balanced and more diverse, right? Do you want something that has potential big appreciation because they're one of the most affordable single-family homes in the area? I will be able to help you navigate this very quickly, and I would love and be honored to help you as your buyer's agent or your listing agent as you accomplish your upgrade, your next steps. We do this every single week, and we have multiple of these strategy calls every single week through YouTube alone. So if this is something that you want to get a shortcut, save months of time, start looking at the right properties, and be successful in a short amount of time, my contact details are below. I appreciate all of you watching, and if some of you can find this valuable, be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. See you next time.